Great, great, great. It's great to be here in the Strengths Discussion Series. I hope you all can hear me. I have my guest in the house, Etienne, Raymond. And so I'll just read a bit of his bio, and just so that we have a deeper appreciation of who we have with us today on the Strength Discussion Series. Etienne is an alumni of the University of Pretoria and the University of South Africa. He had completed, where he had completed the BCom Accounting Software degree, science degree rather, and BCom Tech Accounting and all of that. As he also has certificates in theory of accounting, respectively. He started his career as an auditing clerk and later as a manager in the auditing and accounting field, doing auditing articles with a medium-sized accounting firm in Pretoria. Was seconded to SAFCOR, and at SAFCOR, we've had him play my about that. Somehow the system, Omar, good to have you here. Somehow the system just went off. So I have Ethan here. No, Ethan, come on.
Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, because look, there's been so much happening, and somehow I've been able to manage the situation. It's almost getting to my head. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to democratize your profile so people also know the caliber of who we have. Yeah, and Etienne,
yes.
I love your journey. You were telling me sometime earlier on today that currently moved to Namibia. Do you want to tell us a bit about that, and then let's get this started?
Man, it was a really exciting journey. As part of our development of our business South Africa and our program, we got involved in the beginning of the year with the Dome in Swakopmund. And then we duplicated our business here in Namibia. And it's over Corona, we couldn't travel and do stuff, but the discussions here started to happen with the Namibian Training Authority, etc. So the opportunity grew so big, and then God sent us here to come do the work here and help people understand their unique self and be entrepreneurial, unlocking their full potential. So that's basically in a nutshell what has happened. And yeah, since we've been things are starting to take shape and helping people to understand how to apply themselves entrepreneurially in their own unique way, which is our main story that we help people with to do that.
Great. Okay, so back to the crux of today's matter. You're a Gallup certified strength coach, but beyond that, it would be nice to know your strength discovery journey. just tell me how you went about your strength discovery journey, and maybe then we'll move on to moving on in the entrepreneurial way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I actually have an interesting or a funny story when it comes to that. My father-in-law, Johan Oosthuizen, who's also a Gallup certified coach, when my wife and I started dating and started chatting about getting married, he told me I need to do the strength finder stuff. So I told him, Dad, I've done many assessments and everything tells me I can do anything, which is so I'm not going to do any assessments. So to cut the long story short, I eventually he convinced me to do it, and since I did that, it gave me a lot of detail to understand my how and why, and I resonated so much because for the first time I did an assessment that didn't tell me who I am, but it enabled me to start unlocking my potential. And the biggest thing, it was speaking to my uniqueness. It wasn't putting me in a box to say, listen, this is how I am and this is how it is and it's going to change, and it's also not something that changes over time. So I resonated so much, and since I started getting to know my talents and apply it, I started just living a happy and fulfilled life, and God has since done amazing stuff through that. So yeah, that's the long and the short. And then because I bought into the philosophy and the psychology and like I said, the authenticity thing, it became a fundamental part of our business, and hence I became a Gallup certified coach. And I'm so glad and grateful that my father-in-law got me onto this, and that God led me to bring this into our journey that we help people with.
Okay, so that's interesting. Mine was a journey of an interaction with a certified coach, and somewhere along the line, I was talking about issues and also talking about concepts. And at some point, he asked me, he said, "Look, Taiwo, have you gone for any strength sessions? Because you seem to be punching on the light." And I said, "No, I think there's something you need to do." And that then taking my test. And as soon as I took the test, I said, "No, no, no, no. This is too good to be true." And, I went on that journey, and my top 5 strengths just got me, was spot on. And I just realized that, look, this is the next way to go. I need to bring a lot of people. It's almost like when you discover, the light. You say, look, guys, come on with me. I have got light.
Yeah.
That was like a light bulb for me. So, but tell me about your top 5 strengths. Tell me about your top 5 strengths. Having this,
How much?
tell me about your top 5.
Yeah. My top five is restorative, belief, relator, activator. So in terms of and responsibility, in terms of those five, for me, in terms of helping people, that restorative thing and with the businesses thing, it really helped me to fix things. What's interesting with me, I don't want to necessarily fix things. I want to help people to fix what is good about them so they can unlock their potential. And when it comes to business, it's to really be able to see what is going on and how do we make change those things so the business can come to its full potential. In terms of responsibility and all those kind of things, for me, people that God sends me to work with is not just clients, it's not clients. And with the related thing, it's always for me about relationships. I mean, and really caring about people. And then also to get things going. I think the activator thing really helps me to help people to move along, to make that one decision, just implement that decision, start building new parts in the brain and experiencing the life that God has for them. So that's in a nutshell. But I think the biggest thing for me is not only top five, but your dominant strengths and how they all pair up, to help you be great as God intended. And the cool thing about the talents is it gives you a lot of definition and practical things to work with to understand how and why you should be doing things. So yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Okay, I love the bit around the areas of domain areas, and just talking strength. For those that are joining us, we're talking about strength, and we're Gallup at the understanding of the our strengths. Along 34 key strengths and 4 domains.
Yeah.
So now, can we begin around your entrepreneurial journey? In tell me how you've gone on this journey and how your understanding of the strength has helped you to navigate. So just share with us.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I should just share our definition of entrepreneurship first. We don't believe in this capitalistic, socialistic definition of entrepreneurship of you're an entrepreneur if you start a business and you make money. Obviously, money is part of business, but it's a area of business. So our definition of entrepreneurship is how do you create value and how do you share value to the benefit of everybody? Because if you really think about it in practice, somebody who starts a business and somebody who's working for him, if the people working in the business are not as entrepreneurial as the founder of the business, how will he ever grow that business to its full potential? And that's where the strengths for us plays a big role, is to help people understand how they are entrepreneurial in their own unique way. I mean, God created us all to create because we created in His image, but the talents help us to define how do we create, how do we create the value, and how do we share it with each other? Because it's not about, it needs to be a win-win, and that's the cool thing about talents is there's a bridge to be built between any talent. So regardless of who we are, if we work with talents, we can always create a win-win, and that for us is where the entrepreneurial thing comes from, and from where you need to build business.
On the bit around your teammates, all right, having to have an entrepreneurial mindset. It would be nice for you to deepen your, just broadly explain what you mean by the entrepreneurial mindset or entrepreneurial
Okay.
attitude.
Okay, great. Now, as you know, from a strengths perspective, it's all about positive psychology. So your talents are innate ability that needs to be productively applied. So for us to be able to do that, just on the physiology side, you need to get your brain to be switched on. So we think about mindset to have a developmental mindset, not a static mindset. We think about thinking progressively, but you can only do that if you understand your unique self. And if you use your talents well, you can help manage yourself to stay switched on. Because if you go to your fight and flight mode, your brain can never work optimally. So it will be very difficult for you to create value and share the value to the benefit of everybody. So in terms of teamwork, in a team, being entrepreneurial is really to help each other apply our talents productively to the balcony of the talents, and also to get to the mature side of it, and to make sure that we have those strength discussions in every context, because we're all human beings. We make mistakes, we make decisions all the time, and it's very good if we use strengths and talents to have very personal, productive discussions. But it's not in the sense that we're trying to overshadow each other or break each other down, but it's actually to build each other up. And that's where the talents for us play a major part on being entrepreneurial. Because if I value your value and the value that you bring through your unique talents, and you value mine, and we are able then to bring it together, then we create the good stuff that makes a business grow and go to the next level.
Oh, brilliant. But tell me, so your typical engagement process, all right? How does it, so how do you get these people? Is it that you'd conduct interviews, and once you conduct those interviews, you'd have them do strength tests or something? You just need to know what and how you go about this approach, and maybe someone is able to understand what we're doing. I'm glad to,
Okay.
yeah, we have some. Yeah, Madam Rola, thank you for joining. Candy, thank you for joining. Fred, thank you for joining. All right, so yes.
Okay, so for other processes, it's pretty simple. A lot of our business is from referral and from relationships we have, and people sharing their experiences with others, and then they refer them to us. So we do marketing, but the process is very simple. We tell people that they can go as far as they choose to be. That this is a behavioral change process. So if they're willing to participate in the process and to take action in their changes, then they can grow. We've got a very specific way of how we coach people. We don't tell them what to do. We don't tell them about their talents. We facilitate them to discover their talent themselves. Now, like you all know, behavioral change is not an easy process. It takes at least 6 months. So we don't have an interview. We tell them what the journey is about. We tell them that it's about understanding what's good about them, what's great about them, and how to use that for them to be great and unlock their potential. And then for us, there's no coaching without the strengths assessments. We don't do the top 5 only because it's very limiting. We encourage our clients to do the full 34 and the builder profile, the assessments, which is for the entrepreneurial side of the builder talents. And that's where we start. And then from there, we start building with the rest of our methodology, but always using the strengths as the basis for understanding your unique self and applying yourself entrepreneurially in the context.
It's dependent on also the individual. And I love that perspective. So at the point where you discover that people don't align in the best way possible, how do you find a way to, how best do you deal with those issues? And how are you able to help, them reposition? Nice to know how you handle some of these challenges.
No, that's the cool thing with I'm very blessed that my talents fit the work that God has given fit me well. So between restorative and individualization and relator and positivity and self-assurance and all that talent that combine, we facilitate people to get to an understanding what makes them special. And if they then agree that they as individuals are special, then we help them to understand that then if they are special, then other people are special too. And if they get that insight as to why people are doing what they're doing, then all of a sudden okay, cool, that now makes sense. And if that light bulb goes on, we then start working towards how do we establish a tactic or a strategy that will help them implement that strengths knowledge in a productive entrepreneurial way.
Okay. So now, tell me and I love when you keep talking about the entrepreneurial way. It's somewhat. At some point, I get a bit, will I say, spiritual, or I just start to wonder: is there an entrepreneurial way? Share your experience, and let's have a feel of what you define as the entrepreneurial way. It would just be nice.
Okay, all right. As I said earlier, what our definition is: how do you create value? How do you share value to the benefit of everybody? We believe that God creates every person unique with a purpose and to be entrepreneurial. Because we are created in His image, and God creates, He creates us to reflect Him. So therefore, can create, and therefore we can be entrepreneurial. We are created to be entrepreneurial. Our minds are also amazing in terms of the ability to create value. That's why we, for example, don't believe in value adding. That is a very low level of what your full potential is. Your full potential is to create value. So that's for us where we slot the two things in, and with the strengths. If you understand how you create value to apply yourself in every context, and you're able to facilitate it between people, it's then when the great things start to happen, and you can build businesses from there. Like I said, be entrepreneur. So I can't hear you, Taiwo.
Essence from what you said, so the strengths assessment helps somewhat to further help tune your staff or your teammates to the point where they can align in tandem with your objectives. Is that what I hear you say?
Yeah. Because the thing is, the world wants to tell you we're all the same. When we have to be the same, or be like this guy, or be like that guy. That stuff doesn't work. So what the strengths do is they tell you what's special about you, and what's special about somebody else. But by the way, we all have these talent themes in a special, unique order, but that enables us to work together. So we're not against each other if we talk talents, and that's what the talents really do powerful is to get different people to work together. And if you get to do that, and both people bring their value without competing with each other, who's right and who's wrong, again, that's a bit of the entrepreneurial thinking that we challenge and create, then you start doing great things.
Okay, so using my own strengths. So like today we had a couple of glitches. So you can see I'm somewhere at the lounge at the office.
Yeah.
And somehow the internet might not work. My top 5 strengths, strategic. All right. So I'm always looking for options. So right then and there, I said, look, this show must go live, and there will be no disruptions. So if the network is better off at the lounge, then so be it. And here I am.
Yes.
But that's the reality, to know your strength and you're able to, appreciate your strength to the extent that you can apply, you can begin to experience exponential results. Now, you talked about entrepreneurship, and that entrepreneurship everyone can be an entrepreneur if only they understand the uniqueness of their gift. Now, you have played in that sector, playing as an entrepreneur. And so tell me, how has your strengths enabled you to, become an entrepreneur in your own unique way? Just share with us.
Okay, it's very interesting in my journey from being an accountant to corporate to advising to doing mergers and acquisitions up until today, where we've got an entrepreneur's factory. I've always dealt with people in a certain way in business. It was always for me to help people understand that they can do things, and again, my restorative helped them to fix their problems, them helping to understand how they do things, their individualization, my relator, all that stuff helped me to get people to do the things that they never thought were possible, and also then to start to run a business, and to think different, that they are actually able to be entrepreneurial. And it's like the same context you're explaining now. For me, I've got adaptability and arranger, which could, if you pair that up, could be very much like strategic. Looking at different options, how we can make this work, but also being in a good space to say, okay, cool, this is now a changing environment, but my adaptability allows me to do it in a way that I'm still engaged, productive, I'm not stressed out. Because you can never be entrepreneurial if you're completely stressed out. And I think that's an important part of our strengths. Knowing your talents helps you to manage stress well. So your stress levels is productive and not in a level where it starts shutting you down, where you go to fight and flight mode.
Great. Okay, so I love that, the uniqueness, and just drilling down on the uniqueness, it's important that people understand that they are uniquely equipped, and there's no point in trying to be like someone else. When you said that, everyone has their unique strengths and abilities. So, tell me, have you had instances in the course of this journey where you had contrast, in terms of conflict as to my strengths and what is wrong and what could go wrong and what could go right? But have you at some point experienced a conflict or a contrast as to the strengths and then its implication on your business?
Well, it depends on how you define. If remember, and that's the cool thing about the talents. Every talent's got a good side and a bad side. So as you get to do strength development, understanding your talents, and you get to, let's say there's a scenario in your business where you have tension. Is the talents actually helps you to understand why you have tension, but it also helps you to explain how you need to address that tension. Because we always say that if you everything is about what you experience. So and your talent helps you to get context as to why are you experiencing the stuff the way you do. But then it needs to go to a next level where you start being productive about it. And that's where the talents helps you to be productive about the information that you are feeling that you're struggling with, but then also to apply it according to your unique way. So for example, if you are not good at finance, by considering your talents and how you are wired, we can help you figure out a strategy or a tactic to be good at finance in your own unique way, in your own unique words. Whereas we speak technical things like, now you need to do a finance course. That will help you nothing if you can't internalize that context in line with your unique talents. So, for example, if you don't have
Wow.
learner or one of those talents that make you want to learn, and that doesn't mean you're not teachable, it just means you learn different. So, for example, I've learned through my talents, and my top five, my dominant concentration is very executing and relation than one influencing. So, I learn better through practice. I need to get my hands dirty, and as I make my hands dirty, I learn much faster, and then I evolve and create new things as well. So, for example, in my dominant spread of talents, I only have analytical as a thinking talent. I don't get energy from building clouds. Once the cloud is there, I want it to come rain. But I had to learn, like for example, when I sit with my partners and we have strategic meetings or breakaways, is that because I only get energy from being actively involved, I need to facilitate the session, or I need to focus on bringing the practical realities to the discussion to stay engaged in that discussion. So where there's conflict between us because they want to build clouds, I had to use my talents, and that was the amazing thing that dawned on me when I got to see what my dominant talents are. Oh, okay, this is why I want to disengage. But okay, great. There's also how I can keep participating in a productive way. And then the tension was away. Then there wasn't conflict in myself, but also not between me and my partners as well, because I understood how to create value in my own unique way, how to bring my value.
Wow. Okay. I really love that bit you've introduced as to how you use your strengths, where seemingly people would have considered a weakness, and you used it to, move on. I love when you said you get your hands dirty, and as you keep doing it, you learn in the process, even though learner is not your forte. And I think that's brilliant. That's really brilliant. And you just even sparked something in my mind, because I'm poor on relationship building, and I did a similar thing. So in my course of learning, I always try to share, and somehow I always got people interested, and that way I was able to pull people into my talk. So I think that's brilliant, and I'm going to see how I'm also able to use some of my own strengths to be able to address the seeming weaknesses. Because as we're taught, we shouldn't focus on the weaknesses. The weaknesses
Mm.
prepare you such that you do not fail. However,
Mm.
once you focus on your strengths, you are set up for success.
Yeah,
So, Etienne,
but yeah, maybe
I
just
mean,
one thing.
yes,
Just maybe on
you
that
have,
weakness comment you make, just that weakness comment you make. As you know, Gallup and we define weakness as something that prevents you to be successful. Now, as much as, and I think that's important for people to understand in terms of the weakness thing, is that your talents that has great potential can also be a weakness if you don't apply yourself according to the good side and the good potential of your talents. And that's why, and I've often found that the strengths development is, in people's journey, that very often the talents become a reason as to why they are not good at it. But that's not where it stops. So really, what makes strengths great is that it enables you, once you decide to go there, to turn that, oh, okay, cool. It turns an excuse into an action. If you decide to go there with your thinking and decide to be productive about your talents. And I think that's a great thing that the strengths enable us to do, is not only to understand and to use something as an excuse for why we're not good at something, but to actually then turn it around to say, okay, but this is now how I get better at this, or how I get good at this, if it's in line with your dominant talents and not weaker talents, as you would know.
so I love that. So strength somewhat helps you reduce your excuses, because really excuses, as good intentions don't achieve results. And I'm so glad that just brought, this for me also is, so you get an environment where all you get are excuses, 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 and you expect that, can things not work? But so is it that is a high expectation on your own part, or do people need to further come into the awareness that, look, this is the way I'm wired? I'm just asking because you've really touched on some very soft issues, and I think that somehow it helped broaden my perspective, on how to deal with some of these matters.
Yeah. You see, Taiwo, and that's the thing about our definition of entrepreneurship. Business is about people, and it has to have a higher purpose. We always tell business owners or people running a business, remember, whatever the number of people you deal with directly every day, multiply that by 5, and that's your direct impact. Now, what the talent gets you to do is to say, okay, I will always look at the world from my unique glasses, but it starts making you aware that other people are wearing also unique glasses. But because we have strength as a language, we can now both use our own glasses, but create context by incorporating the 2 points of view. And therefore because of the productive positive psychology side of it, as soon as you start pressing the buttons to the good side, automatically it creates the good energy of feeling happy and fulfilled. Yes, that may be a process, but immediately you can start feeling the productivity is coming, and that will lead to the better result. And that's why, in terms of developing people, developing business, if business is about the soft stuff, if you don't get the people stuff right, you can do whatever you want. You will not get the hot stuff executed world class.
This for me is my wow moment. We just, and I'm so glad that we had this discussion. I honestly wish we could go on and on. The discussions around strength is inexhaustible. You can talk about strength continuously. Sometimes I just sit down. I'm like, how would I have been able to manage the emotions, manage everything I do right now?
Yeah.
I'll probably be struggling. Is that the same point of view you have as to how the strength discovery has helped you shaping your perspective along the entrepreneurial center stage?
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's what I tell people all the time. The only entrepreneur, a teachable entrepreneur, is an investable entrepreneur. So if people are not teachable, I believe you shouldn't be throwing money at them and their businesses. And what the strength stuff does, it gets you to a point where you realize I can never stop learning, I can never stop developing, because it's like a matrix. It's because of how the talents pair up and how they work in different contexts, and how your revelation of God's image and what it means to really live out the full potential of each of your dominant talents, that never changes. And because of the world that we live in that changed so fast, and we have no control of what's happening, the strengths enable you to take ownership or take control of what's happening and be productive about it. And that's what I love about using it as a fundamental tool in the work that God has given us to do, that's what it's enabling you. And because it's so dynamic, you don't need to worry about tomorrow. Don't need to worry about 5 minutes from now. Just use whatever context you have now, contextualize the information productively, and work out plans productively according to your unique talents, and then the outcome will look after itself. You will have a great outcome if that's your expectation, if that's the level of the standard that you want to do things on. So
we're running up shortly, but you dropped something. You said teachability. Teachability is one of the elements of entrepreneurship, and also for the teammates. I need just help me expand on that, because I soon realize that that's even the bigger problem. So it's okay you don't know your strengths, but are you also teachable? And if you're not teachable, and then you also don't know your strengths, then I think that's double jeopardy. So please help me address the issues around being teachable as an entrepreneur, learning on the call. And then for those that are in the entrepreneurial segment, they must have the entrepreneurial mindset. So help me portrait further on teachability.
Okay. All right. Now, again, like I said, our definition of entrepreneurship is how do you create value? How do you share value to the benefit of everybody? So, for example, if you are not teachable and you believe this is how it's done and this is how it's always been done and this is how it should be, what are the chances of you actually considering another option in a world that is ever changing? It's like, for me, everybody says change is the only constant thing. And I'm like, but why is then everybody so unprepared and so scared of change if we are so supposed to be used to it? And that's why for me the teachable entrepreneur is a guy that says, listen, I know what I'm good at, I know what I'm not good at, and I know how to work around the complexities of reality of business in a simplistic way because I understand it in my own way. But also when I deal with my team, I value them and what they are good at and how do we complement each other. Because in the fast changing world, we need to play to strengths to feel productive. Everybody in this world wants to be happy and fulfilled and productive and purposeful. And for us to really be able to move fast, we need to play to the talents of each other because the people that God sends you to your business are not there by chance. We don't believe it should be that it should be by chance. And that's where again that thing of being teachable. If you're not open to learn, if you're not open to say, okay, cool, what is happening here in terms of my talents, and to learn from that and then be productive, because that's the teachable part. It's one thing to say, okay, cool, I get why, and that's what the excuses thing. A teachable guy say, okay, I understand, but also now how do I respond productively and positively? And that is teachable guy. That's somebody that when the funder gives him money and he realizes, listen, I've made a mistake, he can make another decision productively and apply that decision, hence building the business as he promised to do, but not just sticking to old ways of doing because it's not relevant or not applicable to the context. Does it answer the question? So,
Okay. Thank you for the clarity around that area. And I'm sure those that are listening and those that would also watch the replay would greatly, how would I say, it, greatly bless the insights you've shared. Um, Time has we've gone past the allotted 30 minutes, but it's fine. I've had an interesting time, and I'm sure those that have listened and are listening right now have also had an equally interesting time. So, just so that we round this up, can you drop your last words, in terms of any advice as to strength? And regarding anything, just drop a final word.
but for me, it is simple. For me, it is um, if you it's not about starting or it's not being entrepreneurial is not about starting a business or running a business. It's about understanding what is your god-given ability when it comes to creating and exchanging stuff, and then to find that space and develop yourself so you can be great in the space that God has designed you to be entrepreneurial in. So whether that is to start a business, whether that is to work in a business, to grow a business, whatever that is, make sure you understand yourself, your unique self, make sure you know what your purpose is and how to create value and exchange it to the benefit of everybody. Um, and make things simple. You shouldn't, if things are complicated, if you don't understand it, keep applying your mind until it's very simple, you understand it in your own words. Don't use English jargon because that's what is expected. Use your native language to explain a concept, but make sure you understand it in your own unique way. Because if you can't, then you won't be able to execute on it. And I think, for example, in Africa, my experience so far is English is such a scientific language versus the African languages, which is very descriptive that often a lot is lost in translation, um, and therefore you shouldn't have the pressure of doing things in English, for example. Do things in your own unique way. Love who you are, love who you're not, and just be authentic. Just be great. And go do your talents to help you start understanding what your uniqueness looks like and to then start applying yourself accordingly. But keep it simple.
In keeping it simple, like I said, I'm in the lounge. We're having fun here, and everybody's enthralled as to some of the insights you brought in. I like my people to run up on the contact. Anyone wants to Etienne. Etienne is a certified Gallup strength coach. He's currently in Namibia, and he has unusual demonstrable track record in the area of entrepreneurship. Is tested as an entrepreneur, and he also has illumination as a Christian. So if you want to reach out to Etienne, those are his details, and you can be rest assured you're going to be listening. In fact, even though I'm satisfied, I'm also going to be very today after these conversations will go on. It's been an amazing time. I'd like to say thank you for Etienne for coming on this second in the series of the strength discussion series. We really appreciate your time, and I hope that you've also had a good time being with us. So I say shout out. Let the conversations continue. It's really a blessing that we've had you on. I say thank you myself and my team, and we ask that to all our audience and those that'll be listening after now. I hope that you can all reach out to Etienne on however issues you have as to your understanding your coaching. I see Margaret. Margaret is here. Margaret, yes, great insights. Thank you so much. So yes, so we're glad that this ended up well, and we'll be bringing in someone next week on this same dial. I love that the conversations around strength is beginning to yield the requisite results that we desire, and I also believe strongly that until Africa to grow accept in terms of its people, then we truly cannot begin to talk about development or advancement, as the case may be. I will be closing on this note to say, play to your strengths. It's been an interesting time. See you next week. Bye.
Thanks, Taiwo. Keep well. Bye bye.